Hi there, my name is Denny Dicely, and welcome to the Speak Dicely podcast, the show where I get together with other tabletop enthusiasts and we speak Dicely together. On today's episode, we're continuing with our series of D&D player classes, and we're going to be talking about the iconic fantasy spellcaster, wizards. And joining me for the discussion are Christy Clow and KoibaRNG. Hey there, folks.
Hello.
Hello.
How's everybody today?
Well, thank you. Yourself?
Great.
Oh, I'm doing just fabulous. I'm glad to hear you're both doing fine. It's a magical day. We're talking about wizards.
It is very magical.
But also something less magical. We were just talking about the weather before the podcast started because, well, Christy and I are Canadians, so that tends to be a common point of conversation because we never know what we're going to get. And it's been snowing in April, which is uncommon for us in our area.
Fair. It snowed the other day for me. Like, it was clear. I was walking home. I'm basically almost home, like 2 minutes away walking. I think, oh, nice little snow flurry. That's quite nice. Don't get them. Pretty rare from where I'm from because I live like by the ocean, so you don't get them. And then suddenly just a high wind. It was a blizzard. I was like,
Oh my god.
Oh,
and I'm there in like a hoodie and work trousers. And I was like, oh no.
oh.
Yeah, I'm actually sorry because I'm pretty sure I caused it on our end because I recently put away all of our winter coats. So nature didn't like that. I got too cocky.
It's like winter's just crawling back, leading like, I'm not done yet.
Some put away their coats again. Here we go.
I'm not yet dead.
I'm not yet. Not today.
What's that from? Was
Monty
that?
Python.
Yes. Bring out your dead.
Oh god, I need to rewatch some Monty Python. Actually, it's been so long.
Oh,
Yeah,
same.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. But yeah, weather aside, wizards, they're
Wizards,
fun.
right? They are.
Some could say that wizards are the weather of D&D. I don't know. I was trying to help, and I just didn't think.
Wizards are the weather of D&D. Put that everywhere.
You know, everyone's always saying it.
I heard it from my lich. He told me. And
They're always there. We're always being affected by them. There's nothing we could do about them.
does someone get them wrong? Like, does someone predict a wizard wrong? Like, they're in school, and they're just like, he's a transmutator. Oh, shit, never mind. I was wrong. Oh.
Could you imagine if Harry Potter started with that kind of theory? You're a wizard, Harry. I was wrong, Harry.
Yeah, you're always Harry. Oh, no, you're just... Okay, never mind. No, you're just really clever. Right, sorry. That's my bad. Oh, no, he lives next door. Oh, shit.
Why haven't I gotten my letter to Hogwarts yet? It's because you weren't getting one, Harry.
That must have been what happened to me.
Got lost in the post. Shit.
Oh my goodness.
I want that recreation.
Yeah.
I want that recreation. That's my fan fiction. I don't care about anything else anymore.
It's a very short story.
People getting a letter to Hogwarts and just being like, well, I guess I'm a wizard. I guess.
That's not quite the transition I was going for. I was like, that brings us into characters, but I'm like, oh no, you know what? Heck in it. We're going to slide that up a notch. What are some pop culture wizards? We've already talked about Harry Potter.
Gandalf.
Yeah. Both
Yep.
the grey and white.
Classic.
Why can't I think of one I had in my head just a second ago? I thought of a really good one and my brain's just gone. No!
There's also the classic Arthurian legend of Merlin.
Yes, Merlin.
Yeah, I was going to say Merlin.
I think that's what I was thinking of, to be fair. I was like, oh,
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
who's the old one? Imagine saying who's the old wizard. Like, that narrows it down, doesn't it? They're all... When it comes to pop culture.
Well, it's funny to me, right? Because like in pop culture, like wizard is that very like hat, old man, beard situation, but that's not how it is in D&D typically.
Mm-hmm.
I think like most wizards tend to like, I think as it's now gone on, they like not that anymore. They try to like super get away from like the old wizards. I think Harry Potter like kind of started. Obviously, they still had like Dumbledore, but they're like,
Yeah.
not every wizard is like that. Look at Snape and look at like Professor McGonagall. See, look, they're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Nicolas Cage is also a wizard now after years ago when they did the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Sorcerer's Apprentice, yeah, that was a cool wizard.
What?
Wait, you haven't seen that?
Nick Cage is a wizard. It's a as films go, like it's a Nick Cage film, so like don't get your hopes up of being a good film, but it's fucking hilarious to see Nicolas Cage being like Ghost Rider shit.
You know what?
Oh, I don't even know about this.
I was into it.
I mean, think of that. Doctor Strange is technically like a weird wizard.
Oh, Yeah.
But then
that's
is
true.
he a sorcerer? I mean, now you get into what's the difference between a sorcerer and a wizard, right? Like in pop culture, the same thing, really.
That's a fair point, because the comics call him the Sorcerer Supreme, but I think by D&D's definition of like spellcasters and stuff, he would be a wizard because he learned his magic, and that's what makes the wizard's magic different.
Yeah. The main thing I don't like in pop culture is that like somehow wizard has become like male oriented and like witch is female, which is a big thing in Harry Potter. But like they, in my mind, and that D&D kind of does this too, like they're different like classes in my mind, like so you can have people who are wizards and not just be men. So
and there are of course other names for wizards, like you've got mage. That's probably the only one I'm going to be able to think of.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't already like a D&D class. I think like mage is the only thing because or you just like he's the magic one. Like, oh, great, thanks.
Or like enchanter.
Yeah, that's good. Other things wizards are known for is the use of like staves, wands, and spell components.
Spell books. Like a big dusty
tome. Like a big like I got to find this ancient spell. It's like a 10,000 page like book he pulls down from the top shelf. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I would love to see a wizard character that is like a martial fighter, but their weapon is like their huge encyclopedia of a book, like tethered to like a leather strap and just whapping people with it.
That'd be cool.
I would love to see the almost opposite of that as well. Like set in a modern setting, it's like on an iPhone or something. It's just their notes page, it's their spell book. They're just like, I've got an app. My spell, it's like all my spells in it, and it's just like
funny you should mention that. I don't know if anyone here watches Dimension 20 at all.
I do watch a little bit of it.
I talk about it with everyone, and so far no one in my real life has watched it, so I can talk to them about it. But in their one season where they do Fantasy New York, in the second season of it, The Unsleeping City 2, they have a character who is like a grad student at Columbia, I don't know, some big university in New York. But yeah, at one point he's like casting spells, and I think he has his laptop, and that is his arcane focus. And he like opens it up, and he's like casting like wards and stuff.
That's so cool. That's like it's just funny.
I love that flavor. Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be in that like realm. I kind of like what they did with because I've seen Fantasy High for Dimension, like how they did that setting where it's like it's in the D&D setting, just this one city that has got this mega tech and everywhere else is behind it. You go out this city, like nothing works because it's all based on
exactly.
It's like it's regular D&D, but apart from this one city where the main characters are in at the moment, it's like, yeah, by the way, we've got all this cool modern tech. However, the second you go into like the wild, nothing fucking works, by the way.
Everyone's like, hey, can you help me out with my crystal? They're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're like, can't get any signals. Like, yeah, because your crystal's out of range. Oh shit.
It's just such a good premise. I love it.
I really got to check out Dimension 20.
Do it.
Good laugh.
I'll keep talking about it until someone watches it with me.
But yeah, like wizards are the iconic spellcaster through basically history. And yeah, I think the spell book that Christy, you brought that up, that is a huge element of wizards in D&D. Like if a wizard doesn't have their spell book, they're almost useless.
That's true. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, because like isn't that like a thing for like I don't know. I haven't played like this didn't happen to me. But isn't like if you lose your spell book, you have to like fucking get a new one.
Yeah,
like straight up and like recount all your spells again.
I would die. I would hate that so much.
In the last campaign I ran, we had that situation where our wizard lost their spell book, and I think what ended up happening was they could still cast spells, but they couldn't change their list. Like
you couldn't change your list. You had to use
because you prepare them using your spell book.
That's insane.
That sucks.
That'd be a great little storyline.
To be fair, with my wizard, I've rarely changed my spells because it's such a tedious process for me because I like to look at all of my options and then stack them based on like what I think I'll need, and it takes like I did it recently. It took about a day and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Because we were moving into a new like segment of the campaign where it's like it's approaching kind of like probably the finale, and I was like, okay, I need like a whole new thing of spells, but it takes so long that I'm like, once they're set, it's probably it. Like I'm not going to do anything. I feel
like
it.
Such the opposite. Where I think every like session I'm looking at my spells, being like, do I need that today or do I need something else? Oh god, do I have to like? I'm like. Do I have to change these? It's going to take like 3 hours in the start of the session, like in game, to be like, yo, I wake up early, I do this, and this is what I spend my time doing in the morning when I'm having breakfast. I'll eat as I'm doing this. Oh, also, I've learned new spells, so I need like 250 gold. Hang on. Have I done that? Did I go shopping yet? Where am I?
I'm really lucky. The fact that Anthony, my DM, does not make me do that. Like, I know I probably should be because it's such like a mega part of being a wizard, but we've just always like not bothered.
It's like Rangers with arrows, right? You get to a point where like, fucking yeah, you bought 10,000, great, have fun. Like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to like. This big thing in DD is like, I sure do love making my players or having my friends having to track random things that like they use every day. Ooh, that's, like taking care of pets as well. It's like, oh, I love my friends having to RP looking after a pet, like how you would IRL.
Yeah. Like buying rations, things like that. It's like I
okay,
just have them.
Like buy some rations. Like if we're doing a big expedition, our DM like, you need to like prepare. You need to buy your rations because you're doing like you aren't going to be near a town for the next like 2 weeks, so you need to buy your stuff. And if you don't have it, tough luck. And like, okay.
Yeah.
True.
But for the most part, we're pretty like, yeah, who cares? Like, you're not going to want like, every 2 sessions, like, I need to buy 50 more arrows, by the way. Especially early levels, you're like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, and there's a lot, depending on the game you're playing, there's a lot of assumptions that the group can make as well. It's like, if you're a cleric, of course you're going to wake up early and pray to your god to change your spells, or of course you're going to wake up early and read your spell book to change your wizard spells. It's like, we don't want to role play that every time. Let's just say you did it and get on with our lives.
Yeah, like for me, like I have a set thing, like I always have my first level spell slot crossed off because my thing is like every morning I wake up and I cast mage armor, but I'm not going to say it every single time because it's like after however many years we've been playing, it's unnecessary. So
that lasts like 8 hours, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So I'm like, that would be like what my character would do at the beginning of the day. It's like she would cast it and then head out.
Yeah, it's like, what self-respecting wizard wouldn't mage armor at the beginning of the day if they had the option? Because like, you don't know what's going to happen, and at least you got 8 hours covered.
Get to that later. Well, wizard wouldn't do that. Hello. I'm that wizard.
Oh boy. Let's
cannot wait.
Let's run through the features that every wizard is going to have in D&D. And as we get through each level, we can stop and talk about them if you guys have any feelings about the features or abilities they got. I'm not going to be going over any of the optional options that got introduced in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And if you want to be an effective wizard, you should make intelligence your highest ability score. But as per usual, like if you don't want to make that ability score your highest score, you're not going to be as effective. But hey, you can role play and see what other fun you can have.
100%.
At first level, every wizard is going to get the ability to cast spells. So there's spellcasting ability, which is prepared spells. And they also get arcane recovery.
Oh, I love arcane recovery so much. It's so good.
Yeah, that one's really helpful.
Nothing like doing a short rest after like a big fight and you've got like 2 fights in a row. I think I just need 2 level 1s back. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
so helpful.
It also makes sense too, because it's like if the wizard, the wizard's very much viewed as like the utility box of spellcasters. Like if you've got an issue, the wizard can probably solve it. So being able to get some of those slots back at a short rest, it's great. They get their options open again.
Yeah, so you're there to be like, you get the wizard who can be like your damage dealer, your support, your like utilities that open up a door or something, or like, identify. And then it's like, oh, but you've got 7 spells to use. Have fun. Bye. I've been doing this dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
But I do think with arcane recovery, this is also one of those features where you got to have your spell book. I think so. If you lose it, I don't think you can arcane recovery.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because it's like not like that. It's like you don't have them memorized, right? So if, like your spell book is gone, like I guess like I don't really know like how it's considered in like the mentally like how it's working. Like you prepare them for the day, so you have them in your mind for the day. But if you don't have it anymore, you can't like refresh or something.
My wizard RAM is running out. Wizard buffering.
It's too full.
Yeah.
Why did I get so many cantrip feats? What am I doing?
I think I've got a virus.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I've just been feeble-minded.
Yeah.
Oh god. I'm so scared of that.
But yeah, I mean, level 1 of every class, basically, you're going to get the thing that makes the class quintessential. So arcane recovery and spellcasting, totally necessary. Otherwise, what are you?
Sure.
Second level is where wizard is one of the few classes that gets their subclass choice at second level. And this might be the most options out of every class. I don't exactly know, but it's a lot.
That or cleric, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
To kind of list all these off, The Player's Handbook gives us the schools of magic as each subclass. We've got the School of Abjuration, Conjuration, Divination, Enchantment, Evocation, Illusion, Necromancy, and Transmutation. Xanathar's Guide to Everything introduced the War Mage, which I'm a fan of.
I would love to play a War Mage.
War Mage is fun.
Tasha's Cauldron of Everything gave us Blade Singing, though that was originally introduced in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, and also the Order of Scribes, which I don't know too much about yet. I haven't read that.
I read it a little bit, but I think I was so transfixed on Blade Singing, I didn't read the other one. Because Blade Singing sounds cool.
I haven't read any of these, if I'm being honest. I have the book, too. I should...
Yeah, I know. I've got so many of these books, and I'm like, I've yet to actually just read them fully.
Yep.
And then the last couple are the Chronergy Magic. Ugh, that's a mouthful to say.
Is that time magic?
Yeah. And Graviturgy Magic, and both of those were introduced in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
Okay, because that's like the Dunamancy, right?
Yeah.
From Critical Role? Cool.
Yeah. As I was looking through these subclasses, I was surprised to see they broke it up into these two different subclasses. I was like, oh, I would have just figured they would have paired them up, and Dunamancy is a nice word.
I think it's because he wanted to, if I remember from Matt Mercy, he wanted to avoid making it another school of magic. And he wanted to make it just a set, like, you can learn spells, even though it kind of is its own school. But he wanted to try and avoid making a whole new school of magic.
Right.
So he did it that way, I think. Could be wrong. But I think he wanted to try and just avoid that, like, I've created a school of magic and look at me now, I've made a book about it. He wanted to make it more of a, this is a choice you can do for if you wanted to add, like, a spell that was, like, more choice. Okay.
That sounds like him.
Could be wrong.
Interesting. Yeah. Are there any of these particular subclasses that you guys feel strongly about?
I mean, I can talk about Abjuration, but I can also talk about it once we get to explaining our wizard characters.
Fair
that's
enough.
Same here with Necromancy. I can do exactly the same. I can speak about it.
Are there any wizards that you would want to play in the future?
I've wanted to play War Mage.
Same.
I'm with you on that. Soko in our campaign, he plays a War Mage. It's so cool. He has like a ridiculous AC. I think it goes to I think he's got it at 20 base or something stupid, 21.
Jeez.
And then if you counterspell, you can then bump it. And if you counterspell as well, you get points. Then makes your next spell do more damage. And every time you counterspell, dispel magic. So you go in a good big boss fight. He's like, counterspell, cool. Thank you very much. I got these 3 points.
Oh my god.
Do all this crazy shit with it. And I'm like, that's so cool.
It sounds so good.
It's so sick.
I want that.
Obviously, I think it's late game. Obviously, with a lot of
yeah.
In this one, it's definitely more of your mid to late game, early game, where you don't have counterspell spell magic. You don't go off into until 5th level. War Mage is a bit not the best because you don't have access to that. But what's good, I think they're always prepared. You pick one out of counterspell and spell magic. I think it becomes always prepared, which is also really cool because it doesn't
really
count towards
good.
your prepared spell list, which is super helpful. But it sounds cool. I just had a cool idea to make a Warforged War Mage user, and all it was just basically it's a robot that was anti-magic and all that. And I just thought that'd be cool, but I never got around to doing it. And now at this point, someone I play with has been a War Mage. I'm like, well, I want to do the same. I'll choose something different.
I was just looking into the War Mage features, and I don't think you get dispel or counterspell permanently in your spell list.
Oh, is it not?
No, but it just greatly benefits to have one or the other on your list because you do get those those power points that you can use.
Yeah.
I myself am also playing a War Mage in an odd game with Christy where I'm a naked mole rat.
Nice.
Oh, you're a War Mage in that?
I am a War Mage in that. Yeah, we've homebrewed it so much that I've actually made Constitution my highest ability score, and the custom race is so fueled on having a high Constitution. I can just gain an absurd amount of hit points at some point. When I go down, I come back up to full. We all have this special ability, and that's mine. And so I always make sure to have life transference on me because I can now act as the cleric. It's I've got so much HP. Here, I'll hurt myself to give you full healing. And I know I've got 200 hit points as a wizard, which is absurd.
That's fucking mental.
That makes me so angry. I'm the barbarian in that party, and I don't know, I think I just hit 80 or something. I'm like, whoa.
But it's fine. I'm the battery.
Apparently, I'm just there. I'm the driver.
She drives the van. We're playing a bunch of like rodent police officers. It's so strange.
Oh my god, that's
It's
amazing.
real homebrew, classic Adrian campaign.
Sounds amazing though.
But yeah, a lot of the wizard features otherwise are very much dependent on whatever subclass you choose, because it looks like you get another ability at 6th level, 10th level, and 14th level based on your subclass. Otherwise, between 2nd level and 18th level, you're just getting spells. And 18th level, every wizard is going to get spell mastery, which I was reading this. This is great. I mean, it's not powerful so what it is, choose a 1st and 2nd level wizard spell. You can cast them at will as long as you have them prepared. If only 1st and 2nd level spells were better.
So basically you just get like a more powerful cantrip.
Yeah.
Is it using that slot, or can you
That was my question
upcast?
too.
You cannot upcast, so like if you're casting a 1st level spell, you can do it at 1st level at will. But if you want to cast it at 2nd level, you're going to have to expend the proper spell slot. But, I mean, such things like being able to go invisible whenever you want. That's pretty sweet.
That would be cool.
Just can cast magic missile as a like constant?
True. So, not to get too much into it yet, unless we want to, but like that was the thing I was reading about online on like Reddit, I think, about how you can actually like do a lot of how you can be like really OP as an abjuration wizard, because you have to pick one of the abjuration spells that are 1st and 2nd, and then if you cast it consistently, you can regain your ward. So I would love to get to that level. I'm so far away from it though.
What other spells might be really good for that feature? Mage armor. You'd be able to do mage armor for free.
Mage armor for free. That'd be nice.
Is shield 3rd level, or is that
Shield's 1st?
okay?
Shield's 1st level.
Oh.
So shield would be quite good. You use your reactions, obviously, like if you're playing like a war mage, you kind of like lose that, but
I'm looking through what I have. Featherfall. That'd be really good, because that's the one that I stock only because if I don't stock it, I'll need it.
Yeah.
That's how it's always happened.
it's always the way.
And it makes me so angry, so I have to take it out of spite, and I hate it.
I mean, disguise self
Ooh,
could be
okay.
kind of cool.
Dark vision, which would be good if you were playing a character without it. You could just always have it.
True.
Oh, true. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, something that would be busted.
Misty step.
Oh, that's good. Heat metal.
Oh.
That is such a powerful spell just on its own. Like, just to be able to cast that freely. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the spell, but it's target something that's metal, of course. If it's a weapon, there's a chance that your enemy might drop it, and it'll do damage. Or if you target metal armor, they're basically just constantly at disadvantage at whatever they do. And it's dealing damage over time.
Damage every turn.
Yeah, that if you have a chance to take heat metal, that is a spell I highly recommend.
Yeah, it's one I like rarely hear about, or I don't think I've ever stalked it as well. But it's good. I like hearing what other people really like, because that kind of gives me like an insight to like ones to look at, because I feel like everyone kind of has like their personal bias to the kind of spells they like. So it's nice to hear what people like recommend.
Yeah, and then our Capstone ability for wizards at 20th level, signature spell. Choose 2 3rd level wizard spells. You always have them prepared. They don't count against the number of spells you can prepare in your day, and you can cast each of them once without using a spell slot.
I think this is where I got confused with War Mage, because I think I was looking up War Magic and then seeing what you could do at like level 20, and that was where it came from, was you just have counter spell as you're always prepared for one of your 3rd level spells. Just do counter spell and dispel magic, and you're like, cool, I'm done. Like
that. Yeah, that makes sense. Choosing those counterspell and dispel magic for those 3rd level things. That, yeah, totally makes sense. Another great spell that would be useful for this, fly.
if you want to be a meme, Fireball.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I was just looking through. I was like, I don't really have that many 3rd level spells in my current spell book, but I have Melf's minute meteors.
Mm.
So that could be cool.
I'm sad though that it's only once.
I mean, I do understand why, because if you could just like at will cast, like, what would you get? You'd have 4 spells that you could just cast at will, like 1 first, 1 second, and 2 third. That would be very powerful.
That's fair.
And also 3rd level is when you start getting stuff like Fireball, for example, or like Vampiric Touch, stuff like that. That's when you start getting some proper like powerful spells that can start doing maybe not like huge damage, but that, yeah, you're level 20, but at that point it's doing enough where it can deal damage, and they get a lot at that level. Like a lot of bollocks, really. Just a lot of shit that can fuck you up.
I'm just imagining the power of a wizard that just like they're just like lounging on a reclined like chaise or something and just like casting fireball like over and over again because it costs them absolutely nothing to do. They're like
stop
flicking their finger. Fireball.
I probably am not giving 3rd level spells enough credit. If I run through them, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really good ones.
It's like slow and haste as well as 3rd level.
Oh, okay. No, yep. This ability is totally balanced.
You get hasten, you get hasten, you get
haste. Or every enemy slow. Everyone in the area slow. You're just going up to random people like, you're slowed.
You're too slow.
Oh my god. All the way around, you really fuck up someone who's like having to like be really cautious and careful. And you're like, you're hasted. Like, fuck.
Yep. As a recently in the role of a DM again. Yeah. No, this ability's balanced. I'll complain about it not being balanced once I'm a player again.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes, isn't it? Is you thinking, oh, this be shit, and you're a DM, you're like, that's too powerful. Yeah. That needs to be nerfed. Yeah. Thank you.
There are only 4 levels where every wizard shares gained features. So strange.
I mean, it's kind of cool because obviously it means you can do like almost no wizard is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get that with a lot of D&D characters anyway. That like no character's the same, but you always see like a lot of crossover. I think. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything really, but like we'll go with the generic. Like you have your generic fighter. Sometimes it's just like I hit things. Cool. That's kind of all I do. Same like barbarian. So like it's nice to see something where you can literally almost chop and change and just have like, yeah, this is my base, but there's so much more you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
We found with Rogue when we were talking about that they peak early. Like they're good almost immediately. And once you get to the higher levels, like you don't really care about them. The features aren't that great. Wizards, you get so powerful as you delve further into the wizard class just because you gain access to insane spells.
I think Wizards one of the few that like is kind of, it may not be like great at any point, but I think it's always consistently in like the top 3 at all times. Like there's never really, maybe like really early levels, it kind of isn't fantastic until you hit like level 3 and starting like 2nd level spells and all that. But I think for the most part, you're pretty good all the way through. I think there's ever a point where I think, oh, this has gone off a bit.
Yeah, it does make me a little frustrated in a way that like it just feels like such a slow burn to get to like certain things that would make you feel like really like epic in a way. Just because like the likelihood of getting to like even 18th level is really slim in most campaigns. Like the campaign I'm playing a wizard and we've been playing for 3 years, I think, and I'm only level 13. So
that was a slow burn.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, just finished a campaign actually last Sunday, and we're level 16 in that, and that's like where we're campaign ending is 16. So it's just like, man, it's rough. It's rough to like, we're all our wizards, so they're like, can we just get to 17 so I get 9th levels, please? Just 17, just one more level, please, DM. Just one more level.
I know. At this point, I just want to get to the level where I can have 7th level. That would be great.
Yeah, that is unfortunate because, yeah, most games they won't run to the higher end tiers. So a wizard can be a bit of a tease. You start getting like powerful spells and you're like, oh my gosh, what other spells are there? I can cast Wish at some point. Oh, that would be insane. I don't know if they can actually cast Wish, but
they can.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by that. But a lot of people don't know about higher level spells because they never get to them.
And I guess kind of for wizard too, like even if you're like your level up isn't as exciting, it makes sense because part of what comes with your level up is the access to the spells. Because I think the spells is what makes being a wizard exciting. Versus like a monk, like you get so many cool like different abilities you can do. And like ultimately like the damage you're dealing isn't necessarily that much, but you can stun, you can do this, you could like run up walls and stuff. So your abilities that you get are really exciting. But I feel like wizard isn't as like exciting, but it's all about like what spells do I have access to now? Like that to me, I think is the difference.
Yeah, it really is a matter of how creative can you be with this vast amount of resources.
Yeah.
And every book they releases like another so many spells or like, we've just seen in the Draconic UA, they had like I think every spell wizard can do. In that, and like the 8 or like the 5 spells, whatever it was they released. I think Wizard and Sorcerer, I think the 2 that can do every single one, or something like that.
That's crazy.
Thank you for bringing that up, actually. One of my big qualms with the class is, like, I don't think any class should have a hit dice less than a D8. Like, I get it, but
I like that.
I just wish every class was able to kind of be able to hold themselves. But wizards and sorcerers can be so dang fragile. And I get it. But
Also, like, cons is quite a bit of a dump stat for them sometimes.
Oh,
I
for
feel.
sure.
Because you want, like, obviously, wizard being like the one of two, of which artificer was added so much later, intelligence-based spellcasters, as like a full caster. Even then, artificer doesn't tend to be a full caster. So you like that's obviously where you want your main focus to be. You want dexterity a bit as well because you want to like maybe have an AC, and even then you can forego that. And you like if you make a wizard, I think a lot of time people fall into that like, oh, let's make maybe high wisdom as well, maybe high charisma, and then like strength, dex, and con are kind of you just choose between them, or you dump charisma.
Yeah, look at mine. Strength and wisdom were actually my dump stats. Yeah, but I rolled really well.
Yeah. I think on my wizard, I probably should have got this up earlier, getting up my wizard actually. Thinking about it, but yeah, I mean, like on my wizard, I made intelligence and dexterity the same at like 16,
Nice.
And then dumped everything else. Strength was my big dump because I was like, fuck that. Yeah,
strength is mine too, but even then, it's still a 13 because that was my lowest stat.
Oh Jesus! I think I did point. I was like, this gotta be standard array of point by. This is definitely not right. This is too like rounded. I think this was point by. I was like, just dump strength so I can put something else good. And then I say that like my con, wisdom, and charisma are like 10, like 12, 11, 12. So I mean, I've really rounded them off.
I mean, you're right in that like a wizard can combat their low hit dice with a good con, but I feel like in the case of your character there, you would rather go dexterity investment than constitution investment because you want to avoid getting hit in the first place.
Yeah, I'd rather just not get hit, and that was like a big thing. It's just I was like, wizards tend to be the back.
Yeah, but then the one time you do get hit, you're probably going to die. So it's like, why not give you the hit dice that'll at least give you, if you're going to 10th level on average, maybe an extra 20 hit points, possibly?
In theory.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I would have probably died way more if I wasn't playing an abjuration wizard and had that extra like pool of hit points that protect me.
I feel the same about necrotic wizard because you get like a lot of like self-sustain from like hitting, killing and shit. You get like healing based on that.
Oh, true.
It's kind of nice.
That makes sense. Those are all the class features of the wizards. So let's move on to a bit more about the roleplay side of things. How do you guys go about creating an interesting wizard character?
If you're me, you pick the race that would make the least sense to be a wizard. So I picked halfling.
Nice.
Which 3 years later I do regret because it means that Dimension Door and like Thunderstep are useless and I can't take them because I can't move my party members with me. So
because they're a size smaller. Oh, bigger even.
Oh.
Yeah, it fucking sucks and I regret it, but it's fine. I just have to find other spells to take.
Would you have to like enlarge yourself and then Dimension Door?
Probably, but I just like I don't even bother taking it anymore. Like I was excited to take it and I read it over. I was like, fuck, like I screwed myself over.
That is so interesting.
You grab your friend and you just go and you're like, fuck.
Oh, damn it, shit. Good luck.
Oh, you're
on your own now.
You're too heavy.
Oh my God, if I did it with Thunder Step and I was like, come with me, and then I leave them and I just like fucking destroy them.
Your other friend wizard, so he has like no HP, like no really shit saving throw for your dex.
Oh my God, so funny.
Yeah, you got to be in a party of all small characters then to make that work.
Oh, I love that though. That'd be so funny. You just have this band of like small wizards.
Yeah, in general, picking a halfling, I think like was a conscious choice that I made. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I was taller. Wish I was a little bit taller because like right now we're in a situation where we're trying to like hide in plain sight essentially, so I've been casting seeming, but like I have to just be a child because I can only make myself a foot taller, and it's like we had one interaction with guards so far and I couldn't speak and I have the highest charisma, and I was just sitting there, I was like fuck, we're so screwed. Like, so I really have boned us in the later end of our campaign now. So
but that's great learning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 3-year-long lesson. But it adds a lot to the role play. So
for me, making a wizard was like just weirdly stressful for no reason, because I just get into I think once you get into your own head a lot of like, okay, how did he learn this? Like, how did they learn their magic? Okay, why are they a wizard? Were they always like destined to be a wizard and it was kind of in their blood type, or they just have a natural affinity, or were they hard slogged? They knew they wanted to learn, but they were shit at first and they like hard. So I go into my head so bad that, but I liked thinking, I kind of go like big inwards almost. I'm like, okay, cool. So they're a wizard, right? Let's not just go down and think, okay, so this is like their score. Okay, this is what they're doing now. What happened eventually? And just I made a half elf because I was boring, and I'd never played a elf or half elf when I got to this point. I've been playing D&D for like a year and a half, 2 years at that point, and I made like so many characters. Like, I've never played an elf. I'll do the elven wizards trope because fuck it. And I'm not gonna lie, I regret not being a full elf because I was like, man, the meditate for 4 hours would be so fucking sick for this.
100. Like, I've always never played an elf because everyone else is playing an elf, and like I waffled on it so much for the Dicely campaign. So I'm doing like a half elf, half Goliath, but using the ancestry and culture, I took trance, so I get to trance, and I'm really excited about it.
You've done the thing that I love the most with a half like race. And we talked about this in the other one I did of these, where I really want to do a half elf, half orc, but in like base D&D, there's no thing for it because half elf is just any like half race is assumed half human.
Mm-hmm.
And the GMs at the time, like, it's not that they're against homebrew, they like homebrew, just moving forward, you want to try and get it more all contained. And it was like a lot of side work for them to do that they were like, I'm already doing so much, like I can't also concentrate on having to update all this all the time, like trying to. Like we've had some problems like D&D Beyond and God knows what else, where it's just like shit wasn't working properly and we want to like try and keep it all tracked. So it's just we have some sanity and it just wasn't working. We're like, we'll try and cool off on like homebrew then. And I'm like,
talking about half orcs, that's a great race that doesn't get paired with wizard enough.
It doesn't.
And of course, like with races having like ability score specific stuff, like that was the reason. But now that it's opening up, we're gonna have half orc wizards everywhere.
I do really want to do that.
Thinking half orc wizards would be really cool because of that. Is it relentless endurance? Just back up at 1 HP when you go unconscious.
True.
That would be awesome.
So your squishy nature kind of like is foregoed a little bit, so you can be a bit more reckless. That'd be kind of cool.
I would like that.
Yeah.
In terms of like the role play elements of choosing, like, or how to, I built my wizard character, like more than just saying like she's a halfling. I picked. I realized there's kind of a bit of crossover with my Dicely character because I have tropes that I like to do in D&D.
That's fine.
But it was that like her family doesn't like magic and tried to like pretend like she didn't have it. But she found like a chest hidden in the attic that like no one else could see, kind of, because it had like kind of like illusion magic over it, but she could see through it. And it was left there by like an older family member that also had magic and was outcast. So she like read this this letter from this person being like, meet me in the capital city at the university there. And so like I left and went to the city to try and study magic, but the student loans were too expensive. So I couldn't learn magic until we get
it's too real.
too real. Until we got hired by the university. And that's how I started like leveling up as a wizard. But I realized it's kind of like having that innate magic is a bit more sorcerer.
I mean, technically, but I mean,
it's the flavor of it.
Exactly.
That's it. It's that, you have, because I kind of did something similar in the sense of, so I went haunted one background for my wizard, which was great. So he was like an amnesiac for like years gone by. He knew like the last year of his life before campaign started, and he was just found as someone being like, you've got an affinity magic, and he was raised to be a necromancer by a cult. And that's how he became. He was basically like, we need someone who's got affinity magic. And like the leader of the cult was like, well then, we've stumbled across you. We'll teach you. He just thought he's learning basic magic, and he like rises up in this cult being like, because he's been there for fucking years, but doesn't know it. And his whole thing is he ran away from the cult, and then he wiped his memory. So he'd be like, no, I'm done. But like, it was all part of the cult's plan because he was the highest member of the cult at that point. And he was like, I'm going to wipe my own memory to like save this from later on. Man, the reveals on that later on, like on that campaign where, because I kind of had that out with the DM from the start. I was like, this is basically your character at this point, because I want all the surprises, but here's what I think might have happened, or, you can use this. And we talking, he'd be like, are you okay with this, this, and this? I'm like, yes, this, no to that. Or like, would this make sense? I was like, yeah. Wouldn't hear about it for like 4 or 5. He wouldn't hear it for like 10, 20 sessions. And suddenly he'd be like, wrapped up in barbed wire. Just like, cool. Fuck you. Like, oh yeah, by the way, this person wasn't evil and wasn't stalking you. They were watching out for you because you asked them to, and you've just fucking killed them. And that note, they had a note, by the way, you just destroyed it because you wanted to remove their body. You destroyed a note that explained a lot of stuff. I was like, fuck. Like, proper just, like, everything in this cult was like so circled on my character. And I was like, what? And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you're the leader and you told us to do all this. And like, they were telling the truth because I think we zoned the truth to them, and like they like failed, and it was like, I'm like, thanks, I'm the baddie, but not really. We don't know, because I'm so sad that campaign fell through just because everyone got busy. And I'm like,
Classic.
fuck. But I've given them full in of like, if you ever do a campaign in the future, you can use him however you want. Like, that is your story. Like, obviously, like, this is how I prefer him not to be evil. He was obviously going to turn against this cult because he's now got friends, and like, this cult's bad. However, if you want to make him your big bad, full ring too. It was so cool. And I like doing that. I like build it, especially something with Wizard where you have this kind of understanding almost. And it's like, okay, well, I don't remember how. Also with this guy, I like went to a shop and the shopkeeper was like, oh, here's your book that you ordered. I was like, I didn't order a book. And it's just this fucking evil necromancy spell book that, you know, as I killed more people, I got more powerful spells from it. Just randomly. And I was like, yeah, and it just talks to me in my brain sometimes. It's fine.
Oh.
It's not bad stuff, because, guys, it's fine. It just wanted more blood. It's fine.
Sentient items are always fine.
I love them. They're fine.
No issues. They're not evil.
It just gave me homebrew necromancy spells. That the DM was like, I've looked at a spell list for homebrew. Here's one that you can just explode a corpse. Have fun. I'm like, great, thank you.
Wow.
It's a bunch of random shit.
That is such a great story.
I'm so sad it like fell through because there was so much shit going on. I'm like, oh, thanks to and he was already like nervous anyway. And it was like, oh, now I'm going to have a mental breakdown. Yeah, thanks, dude. He's already like anxiety ridden, like kept himself to himself. And now he just made like, oh, it's so funny. It was great.
Yeah, I think what we get from both of these stories is kind of there's a relationship to an organization happening. Like a school or university is a very common one, and cults also are a very good common one for necromancers and that kind of such. But also some of the ones that Xanathar's guide suggests, as far as like developing your wizard character, they suggest describing your spell book, describe an ambition you might have, because as wizards are magical learners, there's usually something they're trying to attain. And then kind of going back to those tropes as well of like the old wizard, an eccentricity. Because like if you're playing on those tropes, you're probably in isolation. You just want to be with your books and your research. But both of these stories are very social ones that you guys have made.
Well, mine was my guy ended up being very like in the corner with his books, leave me alone, you know, because he's fucking amnesiac. So he was just like, I know my books, and that's what I've got going for me.
Yeah. I've actually like never put any thought at all into what my spell book looks like. Like my whole thing was like picking like a really cool arcane focus, which is like a halfling's pipe.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, that seems like fun.
I didn't for a bit until I got that like badass fucking cool looking like spellbook, and I was like, okay, I'll merge with my other one. I think I put more effort into like a warlock grimoire than I did for my wizard spellbook, which is weird.
That's funny. I did the same.
But yeah, like my wizard spellbook, I'm like, it's a fucking book. It's a book that has some spells in it. Great, yeah, cool. There we go, done. Like, but my warlock grimoire, I'm like, it's this dark shadow. You know, you're like starting to like 2 fucking paragraphs in backstory just for what a book looks like.
Yeah.
Whereas wizard, I'm like, he found a book on the floor and he put spells in it. Like, what more do you want from me? Like, come on, fucking hell. Just an A4 notepad and paper he bought from like the convenience store. It's just how like.
I agree. Like, I feel like that is something I usually don't do for my wizards. But if you really wanted to get into it, you could do something like your spells are etched into slabs of stone that are like, there's a hole on the side that's like twine, so you can flip over these like stone tablets. Or you made the book yourself, and it's just this like very crudely made paper, and it's got terrible binding, and it looks like it could fall apart in the slightest rain. like there's a lot you can go into.
It's a binder full of cards that's just all your almost like the fucking spell cards you can get. It's just that it's like
That's what I use.
Absolutely, and every time you cast a spell, you pull out the card you need for that spell or something.
oh my god.
So you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
You play Yu-Gi-Oh.
I summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon.
I summon Fireball.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Like, I did not think about that at all. Like, I think, as with a lot of my stuff, I like to make the aesthetic choice or the thing that seems like interesting or like opposite of what people would normally do, which is exactly how I picked the character that I currently play, like my current wizard. But I think like if you're starting out, putting that effort into like a spell book would be a really helpful like thing to kind of give you an idea of like what kind of wizard you're playing. I like that.
Some other notes that I ended up writing down was, what was your first exposure to magic? Whether that's you grew up in a magic family, like Christy's example, or non-magic family, I guess, and you had magic.
Yeah. One magical relation who, by the way, when I got to the city, they weren't there, and I had to find them, and it was a really fucked up arc, so...
Oh my.
It hurt me emotionally.
I think wizards tend to have the most emotionally fucked up arcs.
Right? Like, what is that about? You'd think...
Because I think it's you could do so much with them. You just fucking mess with them because they're very like intelligent, so you can't like, well, for the most part, you can't give them some sort of like, oh, you can also have tragedy, but you kind of just have to be like, okay, this is your perception of reality, and everything's been good for you so far. What if it wasn't though? It's like, no, please. My books have never lied to me before. Stop making them lie now. As you get random notes in your book that you don't remember fucking writing. They're just there now. Like,
oh my god, it's so much more tragic than I even thought, thinking about it in that context too. Because like, so that first arc was like, oh, we found out this like former student who was best friends with my aunt, who was like the magic user, is now like the big bad, and like, but he made some sort of pact with like a demon or something, and so that's like why it happened. Not that he himself necessarily was the greatest, but then now, like, at our current like finale arc, like that city has been completely destroyed, taken over, and so we are trying to like work our way back there and like gather allies. But the head of the university, who's this extremely powerful wizard that I had like a kind of like mentor relationship with, who also like rescued me when I had died and like brought me to the clerics to like revive me. Turns out he had made, I always just said spoiler alert, as if anyone like had any knowledge. Yeah, I was like, what? But yeah, like he had also made a pact with some sort of entity. So he himself like has been wearing like a necklace or some sort of like thing this entire time, like to make him appear like his human form. And then like as we left the city, like it fell off and I got it, and he's actually like a devil or something. And so I think I mentioned this in one of the previous podcast episodes where like I had that realization. I think it was roleplay. I had that realization while we were playing that like my character feels responsible for whatever happens to him. Like when it comes down to it, either way, like I'll either have to take him out or fix him or do something. And it's like a really like fucked up heady thing to be like, oh, I have to be in control of my mentor now.
Well,
cool.
Yeah, and that comes back to that ambition. Like wizards are looking for power because something has happened, and they either need to repair it or they need to attain some different status than where they are currently.
Some wizards are just power-grabbing bastards.
And some of them are just like, I just want to get up there to the top of the social ladder.
Yo, I want to be a lich without having to die part smile. Okay, cool, let's do it. Let's go, boys. Like every ancient wizard that's out there, it's like, I'm so old, I just want to rule everything now. It's like, oh no.
And that like obsession with like ambition and knowledge wasn't something I really had considered a lot in like my character when I built her. But thinking about it like now, like as like me, the player, gets excited about using high level spells, sometimes I use things that aren't necessarily appropriate. And it's had like in-game ramifications where we just got through a really tense fight and everyone was mad at me and I did not like it.
Yeah. So. I mean, we had it within our like campaign. The person that my character thought was the leader left. Like he was like, I need to like sort this thing out. Basically the guy was having like much fun with the character at the time, like he was gonna go back to it, but he was just like, it kind of makes sense. And then we're suddenly this group power vacuum, and so my character was like, done. Because we were starting to investigate the cult a bit more, and I'm like, well, this cult is about like, we know I've got a connection to the cult, so it makes sense that I take the front foot a little bit. Was the angle he told the group, and instead he's like, fucking these people do what the fuck I want now, like they're following my every like word now. Okay, like how can I now use this? Like to benefit me and like get the fuck out of there the second I can. Like, get what I want, get out.
Damn.
Like, and not kill my friend. Like, he still liked them as friend. Like, he still was like, I don't want these people to die. He was like, I need to get out, get in, get out, and be done. And like, just I took a bunch of my spells. I took were like invisibility and blink to be like, if I ever need to get out of a fight, I'll try and save you guys if I can, but I'm blinking and getting the fuck out. Like, I'm gone. You won't see me again.
Yeah, wizards can absolutely be selfish characters because in the end, it's and I'm going to quickly finish off these like bullet points of like creating wizard characters.
Yeah.
But a wizard is a font of knowledge. So it's like there's an ego where they're like, if I die, so much is going with me, so I've got to stay alive, or I have to attain powers so I can stay alive. So yeah, these bullet points of questions. So what was your first exposure to magic? Who taught you magic, if anyone? How old are you? And what is your relationship to those who aren't studied in magical ways?
I think it depends on the wizard, because you can easily play it where you get the ones that want to teach and want everyone to like learn. So then obviously that then gives other players good RP choices to then maybe take one of the subclasses within their own class, like the Arcane Trickster Rogue or Eldritch Knight Fighter. They can be like, oh, okay, I do want to learn magic that way. You might have learned it from my character. Or if they can like take a feat, if they want to have some sort of access to spells, you can do that. Or they can be like, oh, you're not studied in magic. What are you, some sort of simpleton?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go both ways with it. And I think both are very like viable options. Like, because the one way more negative side, you can almost have that character arc of being like, oh, okay, no, everyone is fine in their own like subset of skills, but there is always going to be, I think, with the like almost limitless possibilities of magic, that they're going to have this like, point of view that, hey, I'm better because I can cast spells where you just hit things. Like, what? I can create something that hits things for me whilst I'm like 60 feet away. You have to be up there. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, like I don't think my character cares about like where people get their magic from. Like it's never like been a thing that I've actively thought about, but I can see it causing tension, though, from like other people's perspectives, because I was the predominant spellcaster. Like we have a cleric and we have a rogue who's now multi-class and a druid, so she's gotten some spells. But I do think that like if I can get like a really cool spell off, that sometimes like if the rogue might be like, okay, I'm hitting with an arrow, and it can feel like kind of like imbalanced that way. So I can see that. But I don't think like my character would actively like, you hit with an arrow, that sucks. Because in reality, that rogue like gets like 90% of the finishing blows, and it pisses me off. Mm-hmm. Like not actually, but I'm like, oh, I would love it for my spell to finally
as someone
work.
Who gets most of the finishing blows when I'm playing my barbarian character, the wizard, not fucking happy.
Right?
He's like, I just did 94 damage to this guy. You hit him for like 10. What the fuck are you doing? I'm like,
yeah, it's annoying.
And I want to go back and touch on the how old are you one point I just made there, because like we were talking about like the trope of the wizard being like they're old, but that's not the point I want to make with this. The asking how old are you question is more about, for example, if you're starting at level 1 and you're a wizard, and let's say you're 20 years old, it's like, okay, you're a level 1 wizard at 20. You probably went to school and you've learned stuff. If you're 100 years old and level 1 wizard, it's like, well, what have you been doing? How long has it, like, what have you been focusing on that your skill level has only gotten to a level 1 wizard over 100 years?
That's super interesting.
Yeah, I went the basic way. I just said my character is 21. She's young. Yeah. But in that same campaign, Josh is playing a cleric who's a 50-something-year-old woman who has been like not like a nun, but like just doing her like religious study and work, and then got like a vision from Istis to be like, you need to go adventuring. So she like started adventuring at 50, and that's kind of why I explained that. And I think that's a really cool concept.
I think like when you have something like that, so you could have, which I think what races get to like 100, right? It's like something like a gnome or elf, I guess. You could almost say maybe those types of races tend to be like quite insular. So maybe they like finally got out is one of those like viewpoints you can kind of almost like, oh, okay, they finally sort of, or maybe they just didn't have an interest in it, and they were simple, and they thought this again. They could meet someone who was like, yo, magic's a thing. And they're like, what? Magic's a thing?
I kind of want to play a character now that's like a little bit too real to like my own personal life, where it's like, wow, if I'm an elf, like I spent 100 years just kind of, really depressed, and I could cast some cantrips, and that's kind of all I did. And then finally I got my mental health in check, and it was like, whoa, I can do more stuff. Whoa, that's so wild.
Oh, dear.
Or it's that like, I've been a farmer for 84 years and I could do magic this whole time? Oh, for fuck's sake. Like, do you know how much work I did? Just angry at yourself.
You've just been like casting spells and not realizing, and you're like, someone like walks by and they're like, hey, you just made magic, and you're like, what? Nah, that's just the corn god's blessing. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Or even not just like, it says mage hand, just cantrip. Like, you do that to like do like farm work for yourself. You think, oh, carnage, like it's just thing we do, right? And like, no. Like,
a colony of farmers who all are actually like innate magic users but don't know. They just think that they're just like really good farmers. And it's like they all just like use so magic and it's normal to them, but they don't know you could actually like be doing more stuff.
Like one of the more outcast people is actually the most powerful one as well, and it's just they're like, he doesn't do anything, he's not very good, he's just like a necromancy wizard or something, so everything he does decays all the farm crops, and they're like, oh, he's shit, isn't he?
Oh, he's such a bad farmer.
Yeah, he's such a bad guy, he doesn't do anything. It's like, oh no, he's really powerful.
He comes home like once a year and it's like, look at the new spells I learned. They're like not impressed because it's still just like killing crops.
Like, I got fireball, guys. Like, yeah, we don't need that. Like, we don't need that.
I just thought of an idea for this farmer wizard. Like, what if like in this community there's just like this would work better for a bard probably, but I'm playing wizard here. So this group of farmers, they have like this song that's been passed from generation to generation, and they're just out in the field whistling it while they're working. And this is like the vocal component for the spells to like enhance the plants.
That's very cool.
That could be used for druid as well.
Druid,
like, that's
yeah,
such a good like. I think any spell. That's so fucking cool though. I'm
just gonna write down farmer druid and come back to that at some point, because I really like that idea.
And that'll be the one time I can like actively use. So there's a voice I won't be used for so long, which just doesn't work because it's very like, it's not very RP friendly because it's very happy. So, alright, me love, how's it going? It's very like that. It's very happy.
Yeah.
And you can't do that when you're like, oh, my friends all just died. Oh, that's a
oh, gee.
shame, innit? You know what I mean? Like, it's too happy of a voice to be like, adventurers aren't happy people for the most part. Like, no one who's happy goes like, I'm gonna go out and adventure. No, you have to have something like bad or wrong with you to start. Like, I got something going on. Like, it's just too happy. It's too happy a voice, man. And I'm like, if I could do farmer just as a one shot, I'd be like, I'm in, boys. Oh.
We're basically playing the game now. It's like build a character, yeah. But I'm obsessed with the concept of this like super go lucky farmer druid or spellcaster who's just along for the ride. He's just there to have a good time. And so like everyone's like, I'm grizzled and my parents have died, and everyone's like all this stuff. And just like, everyone was just going this way, so I went this way too. And
we had one bad farming like 3 years ago, but apart from that, I mean, like, I think I've got something wrong with my toe, but like I stopped it. But apart from that, I mean, like, I'm doing all right. Like,
I needed to go to the next town to pick up some seed because we were running out. So I figured to just stick with these big guys and you're heading that way. So
yeah, just like proper. Oh,
I love this person now. I want to play them so bad.
This is a great character idea. I love it. But we should probably move things along here.
Yeah,
I guess. I suppose.
Welcome to being a podcast with me. Welcome to being a podcast with me where we ramble.
So, tell us, this is the part. We've been alluding to these characters. Tell us about these wizard characters you guys have been playing and which archetypes or which subclasses you chose.
I mean, I can go first. So I played a male half-elf necromancy wizard. He was called Cyrus Forlong, which at the time didn't know was going to be much of a play on words as it ended up being, because he was forlonging in the end, and I just like, it's a cool name, sure, because like random name generated it or whatever. I was like, that sounds cool. I'm like, oh no, this is a massive like I see. No, I played the necromancer. He was very shy, very like kept himself. I was this haunted one background, and just kind of really kept himself in the corner. Wasn't really part of the group. Kind of got like bullied on in the group a little bit, but like in that like bantery way. But in his mind, he was like, people are all the fucking same. knew it until he got like an ounce of power, and then suddenly he was like, yeah, he has a massive power trip. real bad power trip. The second he started learning he was part of this cult, and the second he started like getting more powerful and getting into places, he was a bit like, oh man, wait, I can do anything? And these people are just letting me do it, man. Okay, here we go. I was like, I used to be this powerful. I want to learn more to stop this cult. Sure, that's what I'm doing here.
Ooh.
But no, Necromancer is really cool. Like being able to, if you kill something, you get like half the HP back, something like 5 times. I think. What is it? Let me have a look. Yeah, equal to hit points equal to twice the spell's level, or 3 times the spell's level if it's a necromancy spell. It's like it's not loads of health, but like
still though,
when you're at
good.
level 4 and have 22 health, getting 3 health back makes a lot of fucking difference.
That's fair.
Like
Yeah.
It is a lot of your health, and then like in the end, like you can start getting like raising undead thralls, and that's fucking cool as shit. Just being like, here's my pal that I just, that guy we just killed, he's back, but this time he works with me. We got this. And like it was really fun to play with, and like I really want to play with again. He's made like appearances in like one shots, or like if they needed a backup character for something, I've been like, hey, I've got a wizard I can play who would just like be here for like a session or two. I want to play another wizard again. I don't know if part of me wants to go necromancy again, just because it's really fun, but also part of me wants to do something else. But I really miss my boy. He was just so fun and just had so much to him. But yeah, that was my boy.
I love it.
In a nice little box.
So my character's name is Ravi Hogfield. So she's a halfling. Yeah, so like part of that background of like her going to the university and then her aunt not being there and not really knowing what to do, was that I made her second highest stat dexterity, and she just started like, she found a couple people in the city and just started running like grifts with them. Like, there's people who do like card tricks and magic stuff on the side of the street or in like markets and stuff like that, and they're just like using her sleight of hand and her like natural magic to skew it in her favor. So she's like just hustling people. So I took like the charlatan background and proficiency in sleight of hand, and Anthony was like, that's kind of like a weird choice for a wizard. And I was like, well, oh well. And I realized like as I was thinking about it, it's almost like I made like a bard wizard, kind of, because like this is like my first like proper D&D character, like long-term campaign. So I did a lot of like the tropes that I really like. So like wizard in the sense that she's really curious, and it like gets her into trouble sometimes because she goes places she shouldn't. So it's less about the ambition, more just like wants to like learn new things and stuff. But like one of those like highly flirtatious, like highly charismatic sort of characters, like puts her foot in her mouth a lot. And now it's like, it was fun playing that beginning, and now it's hard because she's died fully once and nearly died several other times, and now like everything's gone to shit, and it's like, wow, it's not like quite so easy to play this really like jokey character as much. Like things are catching up. It sucks. And yeah, she's an abjuration wizard. Abjuration wizard.
Trying to sound that 3 times quick while drunk.
Abjuration.
Which I only took because we were playing. It's only there's only 3 of us playing with, and then plus the DM. So it's like, if I'm playing a wizard, I need to be able to help support the group because I don't want like everyone to die. And it's been interesting. Let me know if now is the time for me to bitch about abjuration.
Yeah, go for it.
Now is definitely the time to bitch about abjuration.
So like, I do like the concept of having the ward because it is like helpful, and it's like most fights I actually don't end up taking any damage if I play smart, which it's getting harder to do now that things are getting more complicated and dangerous, of course. But there was kind of a moment like a year ago or something where I kind of like read further like down to like the, oh my god, we were just talking about it, the things that you get each like every few levels.
Oh, the class features from the subclass.
The class features. And I realized that like my ward total can only ever hit like, I think it's something like 43 points or something like that. And I remember thinking like, wow, this whole time I thought it was going to end up being like a lot more than that. And I just felt really deflated because like that's basically the most exciting thing about my character is that I have this ward and like it can protect me, and now I can like send it out to protect my friends. And if it's like 43, just like didn't seem like that much to me. And I just all of a sudden I was like, man, like what if I should have just chosen something like flashier, because it seems like sad to me now. And like, it's fine now. Like I've kind of like come to terms with it. But so I think I was talking to you about this before. Like I had this thought of like ways they could maybe like make the ward or like the abjuration stuff like a little bit more exciting, because it's just so like utility right now. It's just like I took it because I need to be safe, and that's all it kind of feels like. So they were saying that like with like the level 18, if you were to take, I guess, like shield or like one of the first level abjuration, like then your ward could come back up, so you constantly are kind of like filling it up, so it would never actually like drop, which would be really good. And then there's like the whole discussion. It's like, how does the ward like materialize in the world? Because like part of me is imagining it like the same way like I cast shield, like it's like a barrier. So then it's like if a person does damage to the ward and it also comes with like a effect like poison or something, and I take the poison, it's like how, you know, like that's something that's always like maybe like wouldn't it be cool if I could like spend some of like the ward HP to make it like so like at that time I don't take the like the effect or something, you know, like
right, yeah,
just like anything just like to like make it just like like slightly more exciting, which is maybe like now I want to look into War Mage more, because maybe that's kind of what I was hoping for.
I mean, I felt the same for Necromancy for so long, was because the Grim Harvest is you have to get the kill with the spell. So the amount of times I would be getting close, and the amount of times I would be like, and also thinking of like if I made a kill with a cantrip, like technically a level 0 spell. So like, do I get nothing back on cantrips, or did I think the DM in the end like said like you get like 1? We kind of like a 1 at this point, like because of how little it was happening and proccing. Because like we'd have a massive big fight, and like I would spread out my damage a bit more just to, you know, be helpful. Instead of saying like magic missiles to one person, I was like, I'll spread it out because we're all fighting in like different pockets, never getting the kill. And I was like, fuck, it sucks.
You know, I think a lot of those subclasses that were introduced in the player's handbook, because it was like the first book that got published in this edition, I don't think there was enough, maybe not playtesting. I don't know how much playtesting they actually did, but I think that in comparison to the subclasses that are getting released now, those ones are so basic and so one-trick pony. Maybe with the exception of the transmutation wizard.
Transmutator, yeah. But even then, you get locked in with one. You have to choose one transmutation.
True, yeah. But yeah, because you've got like the enchantment wizard, I've always thought was underwhelming. You have to stay in one place and you enchant one enemy. It's like, how useful is that? Or
like divination, like it's kind of cool. Like you roll the 2 portents or whatever, and then you can use those to influence things. But like once they're used, and it's kind of like, all right. Like,
yeah. Also, like if you roll a 10 and 11, like, yeah, great.
That's not really
like you're not going to make a huge difference in the world. Like maybe it might make the difference, but at the same time, you're thinking when you roll those middle numbers and 2 of them, like or like 9 and 12, you know, you get to a point where thinking, yeah, it can help me save me from like a nat 1 or something, but it's not going to make the biggest amount of difference compared to like when you get my bigger number, so you get an 18 or you get like a 2.
Yeah, but that being said, though, like the player's handbook subclass wizard subclasses are very, very basic in comparison to what they're releasing, and I feel like a bunch of them could do with some tweaking for sure. The first character I played in 5th edition was a divination wizard. I only ever got to level 5, but their name was Antino Abatici, and they were a university professor. I loved the name. I was so in love.
Can you say it? Can you throw some Mario on there for me? Some Italian.
It's Antino Abatici.
Yes, thank you.
He sounds like a professor as well.
I love it.
It was great because like I made this character that had like a tragic backstory because he had received because he was a divination wizard. He foresaw this like a flood hitting the town he was from, but they like neglected him and like shunned him as an outcast. And he was like, I'm not going to warn them. So up on top of the hill where his house was, he watched the town get flooded and just washed away. And he's like, I have made a terrible mistake. And so he went to the university as a student and eventually became a professor. And he was just this awkward, bumbling
Denny,
fool. Yeah.
That's real fucked up.
Yeah.
It's fucking badass is what that is. That's badass.
I didn't play this character for long, but like some of the stupid stuff that happened was I randomly invented airships based on a natural 20 roll one time. I accidentally casted a fire spell while we were in a sewer, so that ended well. Like just dumb stuff all the time.
So those consequences of spell use that you forget about. You think this would be cool using like, oh shit. Like, oh yeah, it sets things on fire. By the way, you're in a tapestry. Like there's curtains everywhere. Like you've just walked into a library. By the way, and you're like, oh shit.
That's probably my biggest struggle. And like I said, like it was funny at one point, but now we're in the end game and things aren't funny anymore. Because I still have that like innate thing where I'm like, I want to use this spell because I think it's cool, and then the character does it and it doesn't end up being that cool, and then like the other characters are like, wow, that really sucked that you did that. And I was like, yep.
I got the opposite problem. Early on, my guy was just like, I'm fucking useless. Like, he just had a bad track record of just like not being able to do shit. Yeah. And obviously it had this like, wasn't very like personal anyway early on. And as he got on and got a bit more powerful, he was better. But it was just like, man, this is rough. And I'm choosing poorly here.
Because there's that thing with, actually, Danny, I'm going to let you move to the next category if you want, or I can do it for you.
You know what, Christy? Take it away.
Why should people play a wizard? Do I have any critiques about the class? Yes, people should play it, but yes, I have critiques. Because I was thinking, like, there's that, like, high that comes, like, because for me, it's all about the spells. Like, and if you can get a spell to work the way that you imagined it, ooh, it feels so good. And if you, like, womp the DM by doing it, love that too. Like, there was, like, a wormling or something in a cave, and I polymorphed him. It was my first time, like, that I had that spell, and I got to use it, and I just, like, ended that whole encounter, and it felt so good. And then I was like, ooh, polymorph is my spell. And so later in that same session, I polymorphed myself into an eagle to fly over like some enemies in a river and stuff. But they had a ballista and they shot me down. And I fully like forgot about this because it was embarrassing and I just forgot that it happened. So I was asking Anthony about embarrassing moments, and he's like, oh, you know, like trying to fly over a ballista was pretty embarrassing. And I was like, I guess. I don't even know if that happened.
Whatever.
I wouldn't do that. So stupid. Like, whatever. Who'd do that?
What? It's lame. Because then I think it's like kind of maybe one of the classes that you're gambling the most in a sense, because you only have a certain amount of spell slots. Sometimes you want to take those big gambles in your high level spell slots, and if it doesn't pay out, you just feel so fucking upset. Like, I'm embarrassed.
That would like disintegrate.
Oh my god, it's so fucking crazy. It's so crazy that you would bring that up because these real world ramifications that I'm talking about. So we had this insane like battle to retake a different city, but taken over by the same shitty guys that we're fighting now. And so there was the captain, and so like me and the like head of the city were going after the captain, and he like ran down to the lower level of his ship, and we chased after him, and he had a crystal and like a sword or something, and he's like, don't take another step. If I hit this crystal, it's going to explode like the whole harbor. And I was looking, I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I had one big spell left and it was disintegrate, and I was like, I want to use this spell because if it works, it'll work really well. And he had advantage, and he saved, and he hit the crystal, and I killed like so many people. Oh. So the next like session, I had to role play being like, I fucked up and I killed everyone. Whereas like the head of the city was like it's not your fault. Like, I tried to stop him too and it didn't work. But then like Melanie, her character was like, she's so impulsive and she makes these decisions without consulting anyone, and they have like these like ramifications. And I just, that was such a shitty like session to role play. It hurt so much.
As someone who has been disintegrated, it hurt so bad because I was just like, oh, I guess I'm dead now. Cool. What was great is like my dinner was ready, so it's like, see you guys there, I'm gonna go get my dinner now.
Like, I got some chicken nuggets over here, so
yeah, literally I was just like, well, I'm dead, mute. But see ya. As everyone's there left in short, so I didn't actually see like everyone's reactions. So I had to like watch it back later, and I was just there like, it's good to be disintegrated. it's not fun, but like there's a lot of those wizard spells where it's like so high risk, high reward, where you have the person has to roll a save, and it's like if it hits, they're fucked. Like, you are hurting them, or like you are like paralyzing them for like ages, or like feeble minding them. You know, if it doesn't work, you've just launched a spell, like you just wasted like your biggest resource for nothing, and you're like, it's so crushing to see it like not work.
And like, I understand that people who play like characters like fighters, like martial classes, like it can get like a little bit repetitive to be like, I hit, like, okay, whatever. But still, like, if you don't hit, you still are able to like try again and hit again. If I blow my like biggest spell slot and it doesn't work, I don't have that spell slot anymore. Like, nothing happened and I'm just out. And I hate that feeling so much.
I mean, the best moment is using your 3rd level counter spell on like someone's 8th level spell, and you're like, oh, get fucked. I've used my lowest level spell slot, and you've just got ruined.
Counter spell is so good.
When you get counter spell,
Oh,
you're like, well, I guess I'll go fuck myself, or like legendary resistances. Oh,
There's that thing where it's like, if you have a spell you use, you're like, this is the dopest shit ever, and then if a enemy or NPC uses it, you're like, no, that's my thing.
I was like that with
I get to use it.
I was like that with disintegrate. I was like, that's such a dope spell. A year and a half there, I'm like, fucking disintegrate, so stupid. Who thought this fucking spell? Stupid idea.
Fucking bullshit. Fake. Yeah.
Fake.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's so high risk, high reward, but also wizards are so creative. Like, it does require a creative mind, but there's if you've got a spell that just happens to work in the perfect situation, it's like, this is great. And it doesn't rely on like a saving throw and an attack roll. Like, for example, in my last campaign, one of my players was a wizard. And this was like the very first session. They're like, all right, I don't have an arcane focus, so I'm going to go buy one. So they went to the shop and I was like, I'm the shopkeeper. What would you like? And then they're like, I want to buy an orb for my arcane focus. I was like, all right, he's got one, but it's cracked. So he'll sell it to you. She's like, great, I'll buy it. It's cheaper? Yeah, okay, great. So she buys it, and then right in front of the guy starts casting Mending, and I made him an antagonist to her for that campaign. He didn't do anything, but I was just like, he does not like her.
Yes, I fucking vibe with
That's
that.
so
Shit like
funny.
that is so good. I love it so much. Oh, fucking wizards. Fucking like also I don't like the as we were saying earlier, you need what I think it's 50 golds worth of special ink and paper per the spell level, and it's that many hours to then write that spell into your book. It's cool in like concept because you're like, I don't just get all this free shit. You have to work for it, but fucking hell, you're getting like this 7th level spell. It's like, I've just had to spend like 350. I've had to spend just a fuck ton of gold for no fucking reason because I want to use a cool spell. Yeah, thanks.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had to pay for this spell scroll, and I have to pay for it again to actually put it into my spell book.
Yeah, it's
Great.
why I'm glad that we haven't had that mechanic. And like, it feels like a bit like cheap. Like, I probably should be trying to earn these things a bit more, but it's like, oh well.
It's like agree and disagree. Like, yeah, but also if it's not fun and like you don't see any like purpose in it, really, like realistically, it's not affecting you that much.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got a bit of extra gold, but as a wizard, you're going to be buying maybe a health potion, maybe some other round potion. Like, it's not like you're a martial class where you can buy like a sudden like massive weapon upgrade, like a massive, like armor upgrade.
Yeah.
At most, you're going to be maybe getting a star for a wand, but that might be a wand of a certain spell.
Exactly.
Like, I think overall, it's not impacting your like power curve too badly having that money compared to other classes. Personally, I could be wrong. It could be some fucking OP shit that like everyone on like Reddit who power levels this is like, actually, if you have this much gold, you could do that. Yeah, probably. Fuck off.
I mean, I honestly agree with you though, because like I think like for a long time my characters had a lot of money, and anytime I go to a shop, it's like I don't really need anything because like to me like what I wanted the most was the spells. So like it's not like impacting it in any way in my mind. Like,
you might get like a ring or something, like on this, like a spell storing ring is a fucking fantastic item to have because you just give it to you spell a but you won't use. I personally like the idea of not using it yourself. You get it for someone else, and you just put one of your spells into there for them. Be like, cool, I'll waste one of my highest level spell slots, but you now have this like 5th level counter spell, so it's not on me.
Yeah.
You can also do it, or you've got this other, you now have this for the day, or like however long it lasts. That's now yours, and like. I'll use that resource. It's fine.
my issue becomes with like having like too many items that need attunement. I'm like, I don't want to buy another fucking item because then I'm gonna have to like go through the process again of figuring out what to attune to, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
You get like a cloak, a book, 3 wands. You're like, but I want to use all of them.
I know, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
So we get random rings where one ring requires attunement, one ring doesn't. You're like, but this ring that doesn't require attunement is better. Why? Like, what? What?
I don't think we've really gone
I tried to
into
find an attunement.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Do we just all talk over each other now? Let's go.
I'm just trying to explain the spell scroll thing because we haven't really explained what that's
sure.
about.
Oh, yeah.
So as a wizard, if you come across spell scrolls in your game, you can take them, and as they've been mentioning, you can spend a certain amount of money to get the resources to kind of steal the scroll and put it into your spell book. So instead of a one-time use, it becomes a permanent spell that you can have. But I agree. It goes back to like what we were talking about earlier with like the games where you have requiring to keep track of rations or keep track of the specific equipment that's just gritty and not fun. I don't know, maybe it's like once per certain period of time you can throw a spell scroll into your spell book. That might be better. I don't know.
Quite like using spell scrolls as like a reward, like a treasure item. I think it's quite good for if you know you've got a wizard, and especially if you know that after a certain spell. I think sometimes it's quite good if they've maybe mentioned, like, obviously you don't just give it to them on a plate, you make them work for it. But if they've like maybe mentioned in the past, or you've seen that maybe they don't have identify, and you're like, you might need this, or like to take like something utility you think they might need for the future. I think that's quite good. You'd be like, you might need to use the fly spell in the future. Who knows? Wink. Here's the spell scroll for it that you found in like this dragon's lair or whatever. Maybe you should fucking use it. Like, learn it.
Like DMs, if you have a player who is a wizard, throw scrolls in as treasure. Like if you're not giving them scrolls, like it's that you're eliminating an entire facet of wizard that's so awesome.
Also, you give them spell books. They've just fought like a wizard. You can merge spell books together. Like it takes a bit of money and time again, like with everything wizard. But like you can maybe, or just on a bookshelf, you know, there's countless accounts of bookshelves out there that you will look through and find nothing, or you might find sometimes just give them a little, like, one of my favorite things to do is make it so it can't be detected by magic because it's got some sort of spell on it already, so they detect magic, can't find it, but then they'll notice a book that's out of place, and it's like, cool, you've got like this quite powerful spell book now. Like, yeah, it's going to take you time to learn it, but it's there at your disposal. I think shit like that I think is really good, and I think there's so much you can do as a DM to just help enhance them with spells. Like if you notice or talk to them about it and you notice maybe there's something like they're lacking and they want that a bit more, or they might need something in the future, you can do so much to just kind of ease them into it without like openly just like giving to them. Like a player just go, like an NPC just goes, here's this, you can give them, you can do so much with it, and I think it's cool. I think wizards.
I realized now how little we use the actual wizard mechanics in our game. Because Anthony straight up was just like, any of like the player, like the standard spells you could just have access to, because it's just easier that way. And I was like, and so like the only spells I ended up buying were ones from Xanathar's, probably. Yeah, so those were like special ones. Or he's like homebrewed cool spells, like a library version of the Magnificent Mansion. Ooh. But it has its own like abilities built in, so it's like any books I bring into it live there forever, and if I take a long rest there, I get to have all the knowledge of the books that are in there.
Dang,
that's dope as fuck.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That is fun. We've said a lot about wizards here today, and I want to know, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rank them? Number 1 being you wouldn't recommend them, 2 being it's a boring class, 3 not your first choice but can be fun, 4 you recommend them, or 5 wizards are your favorite class.
I think a solid like 4, maybe dipping into 3 a little bit personally, just because I prefer martial classes, and like that is what my bread and butter has been for a lot of D&D. But definitely recommend it. Like if you want to just jump into the deep end of D&D, fucking go wizard. It's like it's definitely intimidating to like have this massive spell list of just like you can do fucking like basically everything, but man, it's so much fun. It's just fun, like infuriating and fun at the same time. Wizards, but I definitely love them. I think they're great. You can do so much, and you can write so much fun. They're very like just universal to do everything in D&D, both like RP and in combat. And I think they're fun.
I agree.
Play more wizards.
I was gonna say 4 as well, because like I think if you just want straight up like magic experience, which is what I wanted out of D&D, just go wizard, because then I think once you're experienced with it, like it is a bit of a deep end because you have access to so much, then you can start playing kind of like the mix-ups of different like warlock and something, like multi-classing and whatever. But if you just want to like get in there with spells, go wizard. That was like my main thing, because I've always been about magic and like wanting to do it, so I was like, I want spells. That's what I want. I want to hit, like, I don't want to hit things. I just want to make explosions and cool effects. And so there's like if you're like worried about it, yeah, there is a lot to like figure out in terms of spell mechanics and everything you have access to, but I enjoy it. I love it. It's so much fun.
And my ranking for this class is a 3. Nothing personal against wizards. It's not my first choice, but I know they can be fun. I know they can be powerful. But I think with some of the just some of the tweaks that need to get out of him, like the cost of transferring spells into your spell book, and also that hit dice of D6. Like, I think that can be changed too. So Wizards, as it currently stands, I don't think they're as great as they can be, but
I do agree.
They are very versatile and definitely worth the play. And for the same reasons you guys said, like if you're wanting to learn Magic in D&D, a wizard is definitely the best way to do it.
And you'll get addicted to spells.
Yep. And then when you play a non-spellcaster, you're like, I can't fucking do anything.
Oh my God. I felt that. Like, I've recently played a barbarian and a monk, and then like, oh, this sucks. Oh, something just occurred to me. For one of my critiques about the class is that like I dislike that there aren't really any bonus actions that wizards can do. Like it's there are some, but it's really rare, and it just like it kind of sucks if like you have like that high risk, you cast a spell, it doesn't work, and it's like, well, I can't do anything else, and then other people get to have like
it's based on a spell.
Yeah,
like you have to use certain spells to get your bonus action. Even then, they're like tend to not be that good compared to like what cleric has, where it's like spiritual weapon. There's not a wizard version of that isn't like high level.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that kind of like bugs me, because it's like you go all in with your one action, and if it doesn't work, you're like, well, all right, next person. And so it just feels a little bit defeating sometimes.
Yeah.
That being said, I literally don't think like after playing a barbarian in this homebrew, like I just can't play a game without having some magic. I just love having magic.
Wizards' highs are the highest, but their lows are so much lower.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like
it's really true.
Like you rise as high as you have be, but you fall so much further.
So we're going to move into the game here now. And today's game, we've got people who run D&D games. They're dungeon masters. People who know a lot of random facts. They're trivia masters. But today, you guys are going to be asking me some questions because I am the question master of today's game, D20 Questions.
Ooh, that's so funky.
I've got a D&D thing. You guys got 20 questions to try and figure out what that thing is. In terms of possible choices that it can be a type of NPC. So like to clarify what that means, like mage or assassin, like some of the things that could be in the monster manual but are NPCs. It can be a monster. It can be a class. It could be a race, magic item, or a player's handbook rule. But I'm not going to tell you which one of those it is. You guys got to ask the right questions to figure out what it is. So we'll just take you guys take turns asking questions. You can just opt to guess early with one of your questions, but after the 20 questions are done, you both get a chance to guess.
See, I kind of prepared as if I might be the question master, and I realized like if I have to ask, I'm going to be bad. So
I did the kind of opposite where like I'm trying to think of like good questions that aren't just like, is there?
I know, I want to be like, let's just like start like crossing off the options.
I mean, I kind of got one that doesn't help. So
I was going to say like maybe is it alive? Because that could kind of narrow. Okay, is it alive?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So
is it alive? Right. So that rules out
rule, item, class.
Maybe not item because some items are alive.
Oh shit! Fuck.
So I know I want to ask, but I'm trying to think of a way to word it to narrow it more down. I mean, I'll just ask it. Are you in the monster manual?
No.
Okay.
So I'm not super familiar with the monster manual. Like, are all creatures in there?
No. There are a selection of monsters and NPCs are available in the monster manual.
Fuck.
So that probably doesn't help you too much.
It doesn't help me too much either, but it's narrowed it down enough for me to ask like some other questions. Are we taking turns? Or are we just going?
I think we're taking turns.
Okay. Cool.
It's not like we each get 20, right? It's like we have to combine.
Yeah, it's a combined 20 between
10
you.
each. Yeah, 10 each.
Heck,
yeah.
if you guys want to like deliberate between you and be like, it's not my turn, but I think this might be a good question, feel free to pitch that as well.
I mean, on question 2, I think it's a bit early for that.
I'm just putting that up.
Okay. No, I get it.
That's fair. It's live and not in the monster manual.
Okay, so
pulls up monster manual.
Honestly, like something like, can I have a conversation with it? Because that could, but that still feels really broad. So
no, I mean, I think that.
What if like, is it bipedal? Is it bipedal?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it's probably not an item, I hope.
So it stands on 2 legs.
Is it playable by a PC?
Yes.
All right, so the deliberation then, With, I guess, like a race or a class could be considered this, right?
Race.
Because it's like...
Yeah, that's what I'm... Well, Clark,
I will clarify this because we had this come up in a past D20 questions.
Okay.
I do not consider classes alive. They're more like a title or a job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So it's a race or type of NPC because technically both can be playable.
I don't know much about like NPC types, so...
Neither do I.
Okay.
Again, we're shooting dark. I'm banking it all on being a race at this point.
Are they innately magical? Or do they have magic?
No, I don't believe so. I will confirm that, though.
Concerning that it's something he's not sure about.
You're reading into it.
Secrets.
No, they're not inherently magical.
Right. This is another stab, which is not going to help, I don't think. But are they aquatic in nature?
No.
I'm worried now that I perhaps made mine too focused by saying innately, and I should have said, can they cast magic? That was a mistake. Oh, I don't like the face that he just made. Okay.
We could ask that question. I mean, like, cause
this is like 6 now, isn't it?
That was 6, yeah.
Fuck.
you got 14 more.
Oh, that's true. I'm focused on the 10. I got confused. Okay. Can they cast magic?
No.
Can't cast magic.
Is it a farmer or hillbilly?
No, but they can cast magic.
Oh no.
Fuck.
The corn is good.
Can I have a cheat sheet? Is that allowed?
What?
Am I allowed to like look on like D&D tools or something? Like,
I know you're less familiar with the D&D books than a lot of us are. I don't mind. Like, if you guys need to be inspired by looking through some of the resources, sure, go for it. And that goes for you too, Koiba.
I mean, out of pride.
I don't have that.
Neither do I, but I like to think I do. I like to have a veil that people think I have a bit of. Oh, also, I just want to see if I could do it. It's more just, can I figure it out? Is it in core D&D 5e?
Defining that, is it from the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, or DMG?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, fuck you, dude.
Okay, that takes out a lot of what I was thinking. I was so hoping he said yes.
Damn it.
It also means Christy knows which books not to look in.
But that doesn't help me. I don't think the filter works that way. Because there's so many other options.
All right, we're up at Christy now.
Great. It's playable, not innately magical, cannot cast magic. Oh, it cannot cast magic. So it probably isn't a race then, right?
I think he's saying like it doesn't have magical abilities, doesn't have the ability to cast spells part of its thing. You know, like some races have like you get kind of like tieflings get magic.
There aren't spells in its stat block, so to put.
Okay.
Yeah, like tieflings, for example, they get a spell, they get Hellish Rebuke.
So I screwed myself then by kind of asking the same question twice.
Yes, which is why I was kind of laughing about it, but yes.
Fuck you, Denny. God damn it.
Yes, and I don't agree.
If we're going by the definition of could this thing ever cast spells, then I would have to say yes.
Oh, that is a useful distinction. Thank you.
Is that your question?
No, I'm just going to...
That was clarification.
Yeah, no.
Does it always fit in the same size category?
Yes.
Is it in Volo's Guide to Monsters?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, okay. Great.
Okay.
Now I have something to filter.
God damn it.
Okay.
Here we go. Can't wait to get this fucking wrong. Oh shit, it could be one of these as well. They're technically bugger. Just doing something else. Which they've been recently added to D&D as a playable race. Oh, fuck it.
Can it fly?
No.
Fuck. Okay.
Bipedal. Not aquatic. Can't fly.
Just looking at this thing, there's so many things I've never heard of before, and I'm like,
I know, right?
I hope it's not one of these, because I won't even know to look at them.
That was question 11, by the way.
It renowned for being low intelligence.
I will interpret that as, does it have a low intelligence ability score typically? Or does it receive a penalty or something like that? No.
Okay.
What did we say? It was Volos?
Yeah.
Yeah, Volos.
Okay. Whatever. Is it large? Is it large sized?
No.
No,
Cool.
medium because it's playable.
But you could be large and playable, right? Because I'm technically that as a Goliath.
There are...
Okay. No.
So when it comes to creatures and races like that, they'll have a feature that is like, for the purposes of carrying or dragging and pulling, you will treat it as though you were large. But there is no playable race that I'm currently aware of that is large.
Gotcha. But they could be small, I guess, is
Yes.
the other side of that coin.
Man, I'm so happy I got Volos. I've run out of any questions that I can.
I know.
I'm actually trying to narrow it down without just asking, is it Bliss? Do they have their own language that's specifically for that race?
No.
Bugger.
Fuck. I feel like it might be a type of NPC.
Maybe.
Wait, is that a Volos thing, though? I don't know what's in Volos.
I don't think it is. Volos tends to be like, it's different monsters and like...
creatures.
Yeah, creatures and races. And might have Oh, it does have some NPC types.
Fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, he's smirking at us.
I'm just relishing in
I don't know
this.
how to look up NPC types.
My big like brain question is
Don't try to read into this through my face because I laugh at a lot of things.
I'm not reading into your face too. I'm reading into I've just noticed because I caved in. I'm looking at a document of what is in Volos, and it just says NPCs. These are various NPCs available in Volos. And I'm like, bugger.
Cool. I want to ask, like, do I know what it is? Do you think that I have heard of this thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So that'll help you because if it's really obscure, I will not have heard of it. So that's helpful.
Yeah, but as in I don't know if you've heard of it or not.
He doesn't know you well enough.
We can deliberate, though,
True.
right? So if there's something you're like considering, you can ask me. And
Do you know what Kenkus are?
Yeah, because they were on Critical Role.
Okay, well, that's what
if it's been on one of the major D&D shows, I've at least heard of that.
Because that was going to look like, does it have the ability to like speak by itself?
Is that your question?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay, I think I fucking nailed it, lads.
Wait. It can't speak by itself?
It cannot speak by itself.
Go ahead and interpret it as you intend that question.
Yeah, I will. I interpret it that like, so we can speak common, so we can speak by ourselves. For example, Kenkus can't actively speak. They can only speak things they've heard.
Yeah.
So this is making me think it's a Kenku, but I don't want to be the one who fucking guesses it. So have fun. You can get. I mean, I'll guess it.
And that's the intention behind your question.
That's the intention of my question.
Okay, then the answer is still yes.
Okay, how many questions do we have left?
That was question 16. You've got 4 questions left.
Oh fuck.
That feels bad. Yeah, I don't honestly know about any other thing that like wouldn't be able to speak for itself. So I am gonna say, is it a Kenku? I'll take the bullet.
Christy, you have 1 D20 questions. It was indeed. I don't know if you can see my writing there. Probably not.
I can't.
No.
It's pixelated.
no, it's blurry.
Focus on my head.
That's just pixelated.
Oh no, it's because my camera isn't on autofocus. Yeah, I wrote down Kenku.
Oh, I'm so upset I didn't guess that. But at the same time, I did so much work.
Isn't it? It's kind of a mutual, because if we're allowed to deliberate questions, I think it's a shared win.
Yeah,
it's us against Denny.
Exactly,
So
definitely.
Mostly,
Definitely.
yeah.
We did it.
So happy we won. I truly thought we would not. I was like, the scope is so broad.
No, I think you asking if you knew what it was really helped.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh no, yeah, she would know what a Kenku is because she watches Critical Role. So yeah, absolutely.
I thought for sure that'd be a throwaway question. So,
But then the second you said that, I was like, oh, what's the, like, it's just going to be where it now falls through the fucking gap. I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh,
yes.
But with that, my guests have won. Congratulations to the both of you. And your prize is our next segment, our chance to hear from the listeners.
Woo!
This is Question Dicely. So I'm rewarding you with questions. Oh, isn't it fun?
Yay! It is.
Today's question comes in from Ryan Worthing, also known as the Fantastic Fiend on Twitch and YouTube, and at Fiend Fantastic on Twitter, and friend of the podcast. His question today is, what is your favorite spell?
I could go on about this for ages because I could give you a favorite spell from every class and each spell
Perhaps,
level.
let's say a wizard specifically.
Wizard specifically? Oh. Well, I mean, if you play a necromancy wizard, like I did, you get access to inflict wounds, which is by far my favorite spell of all time because it's good. It's just fun to flavor. However, if you talk about generic wizards, I mean, Leomund's Tiny Heart is so cool.
That's a good one.
It's just a little bubble you can have to chill with your friends, and like the wizard has to stay, the caster has to stay in there like the whole time, just vibing in the middle of this fucking dome. That we definitely haven't in my campaign hotboxed before.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like inflict wounds or Leomund's Tiny Heart are lit spells that just are fun.
I have 2 kind of like one's like actually like me playing a wizard. Like what I like doing the most in terms of creative spellcasting is polymorph, But the reality of like me role playing a wizard, my favorite spell is Find Familiar. Because like having a little magical animal that follows me around has been like my life dream since I was a child. So, and like to have it, like I can like puff it out and I can like see through it. I love it. It's like the practical uses are it's not as like exciting, but I love it.
I think one of my favorite spells is Slow for wizards. Just because for me, I feel like the function of the wizard is like controlling the field. So it's like Slow does such a good job of doing that. Just a huge area affecting, and the people within are now just going to be moving slow while I'm running away, probably.
You can pick within as well, right? Is that a thing? Like, it doesn't affect everyone. I think it's you can choose creatures within a certain area
Of your choice, yeah.
Which is really fucking cool. So you can like, with a lot of AoE spells, it's like, fuck, my two, our frontliners are there. I'm gonna fuck them up, but like Slow, so you can put it slap bang in the fucking middle and be like, they're not affected by it, but the three that are fighting are.
It's a beautiful spell. I love it.
Chef kiss.
The fighters are out there getting extra attack. I'm getting Slow. Mwah.
I mean, or just haste your fight and be like, have fun, do the damage for me. But by the way, in 10 turns, just stun, so have fun with that later.
Yeah.
Those are all good spells.
There's no bad spell except Grease.
There are some bad spells.
Yeah, there are.
Oh, God. I think the only bad spell I can think of right now is Find Traps. What a garbage thing that exists.
It'd be good if it told you where it was and what type of trap it was, but it just says, yeah, there's a trap within 100 feet. Like,
That's really funny. I didn't even know it existed.
You cast this spell, and it's like, yeah, traps exist.
Yeah, it's like there was a trap in the area. Where? What type? It's just in the area. It's a level 2 spell as well. Like, it's like, there's traps.
That's how I feel playing Dragon Age Origins, because it's just like, trap detected, and you're like, everything's so pixely, I don't even know like where you're talking. What?
The locate traps you need is your body when you play a barbarian.
I am locate traps. Where are they?
Yeah, where are they?
Oh, well, thank you, Ryan, for submitting that question. Oh, that was really funny. If you want to submit a question to Question Dicely listeners, send an email with your question to dicelychannel@gmail.com or get in touch with me on Twitter or Instagram @Dicely DnD. And don't forget to leave a social media handle for me to give you a shout out. And it's at this point that we're coming to the end of the show. I want to thank both Koiba and Christy for joining me in this magical conversation about wizards.
No problem, anytime, man. I'm down to talk all D&D.
French wizard. I don't know. Sorry.
Friend with we made, and guys, the most powerful spell of them all was the friendship we made along the way.
Spell FRENCHSHIP.
Yeah.
The friendship.
The friendship.
Friendship. Wow.
If nothing else, we have let you walk away with 2 really good ideas for your next campaign, which is Farmer Druid and the French ship. So,
oh my
go wild.
Oh, that is what is game.
What's your favorite class? Boat.
I'm an artificer and I'm a boat. At this time, I would like to give the opportunity for both of my guests to plug anything you're working on, and as well as your social media. Where can people keep up with you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/KoibaRNG. I stream like once a month, if that. So probably not the best place to find me. But weekly, I play, soon to be on the Dungeon Select channel. Which will be starting campaign 2 of Dungeon Select. It used to be on that Dutch Geek channel, but as we come to the end next week, it's the epilogue of the entire campaign. We are going to be launching so much more on Dungeon Select. There's going to be we're going to be doing weekly talk show type stuff on there about the campaign. We're going to be doing the campaign, obviously, and just like world building streams are going to be on there, like mini painting. It's kind of big RPG, D&D focus, one shots, all that. I think we've got 2 one-shots coming up on it as well. One called Tasha's Kiss, which we don't know when it's going to be. And hopefully the first Wednesday of every month, we will be doing a one-shot series based on the game Hades that's been converted to 5e, that our DM is like converted to 5e. And that's where we're going to be. So that's twitch.tv/Dungeon Select. Also a Reddit, Dungeon Select as well, and Twitter and YouTube. And if there's a social media, Dungeon Select. It's there.
You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube, just at Christy Clow, my name, and then on Twitter at CBK Clow, fully because someone stole it from me.
What a bitch.
Rude. But yeah, and then upcoming, I don't know, a little thing called the Dicely campaign.
Yeah, this episode probably will still come out before the campaign gets published, so yeah, look forward to that. That's very exciting on our end as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you both for joining me on this episode of the podcast. It was great talking about wizards, and looking forward to speaking with more guests about other classes as we continue this dive into the specificities of class within D&D 5e. So, to the listeners at home, thank you for tuning in to Speak Dicely. My name is Teni Dicely, and I will speak Dicely with you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can find the Speak Dicely podcast on Podbean and most anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Follow Dicely DnD on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and be sure to subscribe to the Dicely DnD YouTube channel, where you can find our video series on how to play Dungeons & Dragons, as well as other videos. The Speak Dicely podcast is produced and edited by myself, Teni Brant, and the intro and outro music were created by Teni Brant. I thank you for the support, and we'll see you next time on the Speak Dicely podcast.